There needs to be opportunities for family time, enrichment time, play time, going outside, being able to practice an instrument or a sport, and then maybe they're able to leverage social media. When we look at social media, kind of it being a place where friendships develop or conversations happen, those conversations are happening because there isn't that engagement and interaction in real life. So we need to really push our students to be able to be out there with other kids.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast, your trusted source for real-world tactics that keep students safe and help them to shine online. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. Each week, I sit down with K-12 superintendents, district leaders, and community voices who are shaping digital safety. We discuss wins, struggles, and strategies used to guide students so they can be safe and successful online.
My name is Sandra Rodriguez. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services for the San Bernardino City Unified School District. We have approximately 73 school sites, and we serve 43,000 K through 12 students. But the great thing about our school district is that we are a 0 all the way to 109, meaning that we have preschool programs and adult school programs. So in essence, we serve this entire city and region through our extra programming in before school and after they graduate from high school.
Welcome, Sandra. It's so great to have you here on today's episode. I'm so excited. For all of our audience members, you know, we're all about keeping your kids safe so they can be successful. And that means online so that they learn all these great things. And we want to remind you that it's okay to delay social media just a little bit longer than you may feel is comfortable because we're here to protect your kids. We're going to talk about some safety stuff today. I'm going to ask our guest expert about some safety ideas, some parent engagement ideas. We're going to get all kinds of great stuff. We may even in the end ask about disappearing messages and other Instagram accounts. And if you are a superintendent or a parent or anyone in between, we love you here. Today is not about shame. If there's tips or suggestions we have that you didn't know about, hey, use them. They're not right for you right now. Put them on a shelf and come back to them. They probably will be right in the future for your family someday down the line, but we're here to support you. Now, after 240 plus district leader conversations in 43 plus states, we've heard some consistent trends, and I'd love to get your feedback here, Sandra. The challenges in 25-26 school year that we're hearing from district leaders nationwide are, they say, hey, Josh, there's hidden direct messages that we're hearing about a lot. We're going to get a lot to that in the end today. Josh, there's these dangerous TikTok challenges where kids are ripping apart bathrooms or doing these challenges, all kinds of different things. There's group text messages where there's a lot of fear of missing out, and also there's some bullying and such. Next, students are chatting with AI a lot as a therapist, or they're chatting with unknown people, which is dangerous. Next is inappropriate content, which could happen off campus over the weekend. It becomes the school district and principal's problem on campus on Monday morning. And the last one I hear is district leaders say, Josh, screen time and phone addiction are huge. And if we could just fix that, the rest of this would melt away. Now, set me straight here, Sandra. I'd love to know, what trends are you seeing in the community, and which ones kind of hit the most in your community? Every community is a little different. So what have you seen?
Thank you, Josh. I really love the opportunity to speak to this. You know, of course, all of these things that you've mentioned are significant issues in education. But I think when we look at bigger picture, what I'm seeing as a primary issue are students' inability to interact with one another and really looking at social, emotional, behavioral learning. And so when we have students who don't know how to interact in a positive way with one another, when they don't know how to self-manage their anger and emotions, when we have students who have difficulty with setting goals, developing resilience, having the ability to continue with perseverance when they fail, oftentimes some of these things that we notice through TikTok challenges, having them chat with unknown people or AI, the screen time, phone addiction, a lot of that has to do with just some of those basic skills of being able to make good decisions. Critical thinking. If you are healthy in mind and body and looking at a comprehensive wellness type of approach, you'll see less of these issues, because when these TikTok challenges come out, they're looking for kids who are seeking attention. It's risk-taking behavior. And so when a student is not necessarily feeling good about themselves, or really doesn't understand the value they have as a person and their contributions, they don't have to do things that are destructive and that they can make better decisions. I think that is really what's at the root. When we have students who are unable to express themselves, when you have students who are having difficulty with interacting and sharing their perspectives. I think COVID really exacerbated the problem with community interconnectedness. And so while I agree with all of these challenges, I think when we look at the bigger picture, having students be aware of themselves and being able to manage themselves and make good decisions and really looking holistically at the whole child, having that basic understanding of that social, emotional, behavioral learning, I believe is an issue that's facing our educators and parents in our schools.
Yeah, so well said. For all of our audience, they know I take copious notes because I'm here to learn so that we can be the world's best at helping kids. And you're a part of that, Sandra. I'm so grateful. I wrote down destructive things, like destroying things is not, we can make better decisions from that. I so agree. And agreed, all this time, COVID added to all of this with more screen time, which is difficult. So such good attention that you give to this matter. And also, kids seeking attention is another interesting thing you said, which I think is so true. The next question I have for you that we've asked district leaders nationwide is, in conversations with your staff, what do you hear them say is the hardest to keep up with? Is it social media shifts, AI, or student screen time habits?
Well, another great question, Josh. I think with our staff members, they know that social media is here to stay and they know that it's ever evolving, new platforms coming in, new apps. And so I think for them, they know that that's out there. And so it's not about trying to figure that out. It's more about a fear. And so when I talk to staff, it's really the fear of AI. One, not knowing how to use it. Two, that it's being used incorrectly by students. Three, that there's a perception that that's cheating. And so even students having that idea, not understanding that it's a tool. Now, I've had great conversations with folks around the nation. I actually was able to go to a workshop hosted by Google. And I was talking to a gentleman out of Louisiana, and he says, if we're unable to harness AI, things are going to get left behind. You don't need to know everything like we used to. He said, back in the day, we had encyclopedias. Well, we don't have encyclopedias anymore. People can just search, Google it, so to speak. Now it becomes a verb, right? But really kind of managing the tool. So when we look at education and we're looking at the traditional humanities type of education, the classical education, knowing Shakespeare, knowing historical events, understanding the laws of physics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those are all good things to know if you're going to be on Jeopardy, right? If you're going to be, winning in Trivial Pursuit, even if they even play that, right? It's really about how do we harness a tool. And so back in the caveman days, people had to manage fire, right? They needed to know how to create a fire because they needed it for protection. They needed it for food. They needed it for warmth and survival. Well, here we are thousands of years later. People now don't need to know how to start a fire. They can look it up. They have different ways to light fires. You don't have to rub the sticks together anymore. You don't have to blow on it anymore. You just need to know how it functions. And so when we look at AI as being a tool and fire being a tool, we still need to know about fire, but we don't need to know the technical aspects of how to create it. We know how to use it. We know how use it ethically, how we can use it responsibly. Same thing with AI. So those are things that we need to teach. We need to teach our teachers to not be afraid of it and use it as a tool. When computers came out, there was this apprehension. They're going to do all the work for the kids. And it's kind of that same mindset. So I feel very privileged to be at an age where I was able to, have to handwrite assignments, use a typewriter for assignment, be able to go to a computer for assignments and actually use spell check and grammar check. And now we're at a point where we can actually give prompts to AI, and the opportunity for us to grow and learn has been phenomenal. And so when we look at that journey of folks and just staff having that apprehension because they don't know how to use it, and then you have kids who want to just take off, knowing that, it's new and out there and something that they are curious about. So I think keeping up with the trend around that is something that our people are struggling with.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that trend nationwide. And for all of our audience here, if you haven't taken a dive into ChatGPT or Google Gemini, all these have free apps and we don't get paid by any of them. They're terrific. Really is incredible. Go take one of our amazing free AI for family events. It teaches you how to prompt engineer. It's just a new way to ask the search engine, which is now, as Sandra said, an unbelievable encyclopedia. It's so much fun once you do it. Okay, my next question for you. is we often are now hearing principals say that they feel pulled in so many different directions when it comes to digital safety, AI, parent engagement, and so on. How can parents better partner with school staff to support students around screen time and social media safety?
I think this goes back to really knowing what your student is doing and having a very strong relationship between the parents, the student, and the school. I often tell parents, parent and the school district, parent, the principal, parent, school staff, we are on the same team. We both want the same things for their child. We want them to be successful. We want them to be able to do anything that they want to do, accomplish their goals. Because when they do, we also get a sense of fulfillment because we were part of that student's journey. Now, when parents and schools are working together in unison and complement each other, we will be able to support students better. So when we're looking at screen time, having parents understand students don't have to be on their computer the whole night. It needs to be structured and scheduled. There needs to be opportunities for family time, enrichment time, play time, going outside, being able to practice an instrument or a sport. And then maybe they're able to leverage social media. When we look at social media, kind of it being a place where friendships develop or conversations happen, those conversations are happening because there isn't that engagement and interaction in real life. So we need to really push our students to be able to be out there with other kids. Screen time, there's no one better than the teacher, no one better than the parent. Sometimes we substitute, TV, Facebook, YouTube, and a lot of the other programs to substitute the presence and engagement that we have with our kids. And so we as parents have to make a better choice and be strategic with how kids see us. If we're on the phone all the time, they think they should be on the phone all the time. If we're on Instagram, they feel like they need to be on Instagram. So we need to set the example. And so as we're trying to build those connections and relationship between the parent and the child, that means making some sacrifices, meaning that we're not going to be online, that we're not going to be on social media. We're not watching Netflix when we should be having conversations, family conversations. And I think if parents can do that and schools can help parents understand that and create and provide opportunities. So for example, in our district, we've developed parent guides, and those parent guides are complements to our scope and sequence. So when students are learning about a particular topic in school, for any grade level, we have a companion guide. And with that companion guide comes activities that students can do at home with their parents. It also includes activities that parents can enjoy with their children. For example, field trips, going to a museum, helping them to build schema around things that they're going to be learning in school, that they can have that experience and actually feel more confident when they're learning it at school.
Yeah, so well said. I love that structured and scheduled screen time. Taking so many notes from you. Modeling great behavior. Awesome. For our audience, you know that we host 50 plus live events all year long. Usually every Tuesday or Thursday, I host a big event where parents from all over the country come and join us to learn about the latest dangers and the positive ways of using the internet. Last week, a parent asked, Josh, what advice would you give a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger? Well, let's hear from about a 50-second clip of a real student about how she might help her friend recognize these red flags.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start, if they feel a sense of being uncomfortable or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
Parents, remember, we have these weekly live events, as you can see on the left side of the page, but also don't forget that we have giveaways each week. So if you come on out to one of these, you're automatically entered for a chance to win a Kindle, a 3D printer, a Bluetooth speaker. We do this every single week, tons of winners. But also, if you bring your kids, they'll roll their eyes less because we have teen-led video lessons. They learn from their peers and they roll their eyes at their parents less. It seems to work really, really well. And you get in our premium parent newsletter. Now, parents, also, if you're ever struggling with anything, we've got your back here at Smart Social. We help parents keep kids safe and successful online. So if you're struggling at all, this is the answer, we think. We have an army of parents nationwide that have created app guides. We have the best app guides for parents on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, Netflix, WhatsApp, and 450 more. This is what put us on the news, but they're not only in English, they're also in Espanol, Mandarin, and 9 other languages. Our live events are here for you complimentary, protecting your child's confidence before screens turn mean. This is our anti-bullying program in English and in Espanol. That's right, it's native in Spanish. It's incredible. Next month is all about Snapchat and Instagram teen risks. Live session 1. We've got session 2, session 3. We've also got it for professionals, and we've got one in Espanol. You're never left behind here at Smart Social. We hope you'll join us. We're looking forward to seeing you at the next event. Some districts have said that they wish they had more time to focus on student safety and parent engagement. What area would you tell other districts is the most important part to focus on to support parents?
Great question. I really believe that having parents be engaged in their students' learning is paramount. One of the areas that I would say tell districts rather to focus on would be family efficacy. Oftentimes we're really pushing academics, and obviously that's our bread and butter. We want our students to be successful, but we also need to make sure that we have families that are thriving. When we have families who or parents who maybe don't feel confident in their ability to parent, when they don't have the words to express themselves or understand the resources available to them, that sometimes causes more harm than good. And so we know as parents have a plethora of concerns that they have in real life. I mean, many of them are surviving, and we're about getting parents from a mentality of survival to a mentality of thriving. And that means that they are well prepared, and that they should also work on developing a partnership so that there's positive intent, mutual positive intent, where parents don't feel that the school is out to get them and that the school doesn't feel like the parents aren't being supportive. And so when we have that idea that humanistically, we all want their child to be successful. And while they are in our care, we want them to thrive. And so when we help parents understand how to navigate the system better and how they are able to activate resources, then the issue around student safety, academics, social emotional behavior, mental health, all of those things get addressed when we have parents and schools really working together.
Yeah, so well said. I took notes. I wrote down from surviving to thriving. Love that. The next question I have for you is, district leaders tell us that parent engagement nationwide gets them ahead of future student social media problems. What parent or student preventative education would you recommend to other school districts to get ahead of these problems before they happen on campus?
I think this goes back to the mindset around social emotional learning. So as we're looking at preventative education, that I would recommend is really looking at how are we teaching students to interact with one another? How do we teach empathy? How do we help teach responsibility? How do we teach resilience and grit? Because those are all skills that are learned over time. And so as we're looking at how do we help our parents to help their children, we have to help them to understand that productive struggle is okay. It is okay for a student, for their child to struggle to tie their shoes. We don't have to do that for them. It is okay for them to struggle having to figure out a math problem, because that's where growth happens. So when we're looking at helping parents, that prevention piece is really about talking and building that relationship between their parent and the child, so that the child feels comfortable coming to their parent to say, you know what, I'm struggling on this. I don't know how to do it. Or when a parent says, you know what, I'm noticing that you're not really yourself lately. What's going on? Let's talk about it. So it's not necessarily an education piece. It's really about creating a dynamic between families and schools, between parents and kids, where there's transparency, it is healthy, it is well-intentioned, and that everybody understands that we live in a community and my conduct and my actions affect others. And so we're able to teach that at a young age. When we're looking at prevention, it's like when we teach kids to be kind, when we teach students, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. When you're teaching students that, you know what, maybe somebody else is going through something, maybe that's the reason why they're acting that way. So again, understanding and building empathy, I believe, are really key ways that we can get ahead of some of the social media problems that we're encountering, because sometimes we're not thinking about the other person, we're thinking about ourselves. And as we're in a community, and when communities thrive, it means that I care about you, you care about me, and together we're going to be successful. So when I look at that big picture again, it's really about working together from little ones. And like I said earlier, we're a school district that provides opportunities for child development programs from birth to 5. And so there we're teaching kids, be kind. Is that a friendly thing to say? You know, how are we going to help your friend? Was that a good decision? And teaching kids to be reflective so that they understand how their actions affect others.
Yeah, all such great tips. Sandra, the next question I have for you is, what kinds of situations have you seen that might have been either on Snapchat with disappearing message apps, or perhaps a fake Instagram account, because there's multiple accounts, and maybe they involved bullying, harassment, or inappropriate sharing?
In my experience, having been a high school principal and a director in HR, oftentimes what we find are that people have multiple Instagram accounts. And so while there is a persona of, you know, they have a certain friends that they have in certain accounts, and then in other accounts, they may have other kinds of friends and other types of content that comes out. And so what I've seen is that there are some students who are really struggling with bullying or harassment, but also with their identities. And so when we're looking at an alternative account, looking at comments around guns or school shooting, comments around how they identify themselves, whether they see themselves as LGBTQ plus, those are things that sometimes we don't notice as parents. And so in our school district, rather, many students are savvy and they know that some of these messages disappear. And so what they do is they screenshot it, and then they will provide that screenshot to their school administrators so that we can investigate the concern. But that doesn't always happen. And so I think having a communication system where we're able to bring students in to really teach them around how their conduct affects others, but also looking at how bullying sometimes, it's not just a one-time thing. And when you have students who are going through issues that potentially, you know, where you have kids who are harming themselves, students who commit suicide, students who, you know, are just really pushing because they don't have an avenue or they don't know where to go. Those are all things that, you know, we need to think about. And so being able to have those conversations, really genuine conversations with their kids, to let them know that these things, anything that's hidden will always come to light. It will always come to light, but it's a matter of taking responsibility for our actions. And so as we're looking at parents helping their child, is that one, they're going to continue to love them unconditionally. Two, they're going to continue to support them. We're about righting wrongs, making things, you know, repairing the harm. And another, it's having that respect and dignity that we're trying to instill in our community. And so when we're looking at these situations where we have Snapchats disappearing or multiple screen Instagram accounts, it's really more about hiding. And, you know, why are we hiding? Why is that happening? It's because they believe that something is wrong. And so when we're able to really understand that if you're doing that under the cover of darkness, then you know you should be doing better. And we need to have those conversations about that.
So well said. Sandra, you took a lot of time out of your busy day. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you. I am super excited for the opportunity. Y para los padres que están afuera escuchándonos, por favor, reúnense con sus familias, hablan de estas cosas, pero más que nada, por favor, quiero que ustedes sepan que nosotros aquí de personas en educación estamos aquí para trabajar juntos con ustedes, porque juntos podemos sobresalir. Muchas gracias. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you so much. And to all of our audience, remember, it's all about keeping your kids safe so they can someday shine online. We're not here to shame you, but we do want you to wait a little longer. And that means we kind of agree with the country of Australia. Let's wait until almost the age of 16 before we give our kids interactive, their Instagram or their own social media accounts where they can chat with others. In the meanwhile, younger than that, maybe they can use your phone and you do it together. So there's less addiction, there's less chatting with others, and there's less fear of missing out and other outside things that they can see. I'm Josh Oakes. Parents, we're so excited to have you on this journey with us. Remember, whenever you're posting online, to keep it light, bright, and polite whenever possible, because your kids are modeling what you do online. We'll see all of you on the next episode. Have a great rest of the day. Take care. Thanks for spending time with the smartsocial.com podcast. If today's insights were useful, please share the episode with a fellow parent or educator and subscribe so you never miss our next conversation. And parents, make sure to join one of our next live online events each week to keep your family safe and also enter for a chance to win cool prizes. You can learn more at smartsocial.com. I'm your host, Josh Oakes, and parents, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are watching what you're doing online. I'll see you on the next episode.